Okay, moving on. Item number F, public hearing. Back up.
Yes, Director, we have the ordinance for public hearing. It's ordinance 2021-26, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of election equipment required to implement in-person early voting, all in the County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, and appropriating $2,750,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,600,000 in bonds or bond anticipation notes of the County of Ocean to finance state.
Thank you, Mac. And being that this is a public hearing, I will now open the floor to any public comment. If somebody would like to come to the microphone and speak, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. And you have a few minutes to say what you want. Sir,
Thank you, Director.
Just state your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Phil Nufrio. I live in Seaside Park, New Jersey.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to comment. I'll try to keep it short. Pardon the tremors. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for your service. You're making a choice today between two voting machines that will be used in our elections in Ocean County. The first voting machine, let me just take this off. Sorry. The first voting machine is by Dominion Voting Systems, is represented by an agent who made $134,200 in political donations to currently elected Ocean County officials and administrators. In fact, all 5 commissioners who will be voting on this today received a total of $96,800 in campaign contributions from a Dominion representative. The second voting machine is made by Election Systems and Software, or ES&S. The ES&S voting machine was recommended by the Board of Elections and described by election staff as superior, quote-unquote superior, and quote-unquote easier for the voter, and quote-unquote more reliable than the Dominion machines. Today, the Ocean County Commissioners are planning to award the contract to Dominion despite the recommendation of the Board of Elections and their staff. It seems clear that political donations matter than the quality of the voting machines. I have here a copy of the minutes from the June 21st Board of Elections meeting, which I'd be glad to share with you later. I'd like to read what the Board of Elections professional staff had to say about Dominion versus ES&S. The Board of Elections staff sets up the voting machines, they transport the voting machines, they train the poll workers. These are the people who run our elections, and here's what they had to say on both Dominion and ES&S. This is from the minutes. The ES&S machine was more superior to the Dominion machine. The ES&S machine will be easier for the voter. The ES&S machine is more similar to what we're currently using, because with the ES&S machine, you only have one step, and with Dominion, you have a 2-step process. It would be easier to teach the board workers how to use the ES&S machines. The thermal printers that the ES&S machines have are better than the toner printers that the Dominion machines currently use. The printers for Dominion are everyday printers that are not meant to be moved. The toner printers being delivered in truck may cause them to get jostled around and lead to failure. Now, these are quotes from professional staff. After hearing his recommendations and with no public discussion, how is it you're going to go ahead and award this contract to Dominion? This appears to be, frankly, a direct pay-for-play. I think it's a blatant conflict of interest. The corrupt process weakens the public faith in our integrity of our elections. Our integrity of our elections are the cornerstone to our democracy. The voting machines we use in Ocean County should be based on the quality of machines, not based on politics and campaign contributions. And I believe that the voters of Ocean County will hold you accountable for playing politics with the integrity of our elections. And I'm very sorry to say that, but this is a statement that I'm making that deals with election machine integrity. You know, we've all talked about in the past about what happened in the last presidential election. Well, I think this gets to the heart of the matter, and I urge you to reconsider your decision, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Doctor. Your name and address, please.
Director Frank Holman, 17 Laurelwood Drive, Waretown, New Jersey. I want to be a cadet. What an impressive bunch.
Too old.
I'm a little late, Director. Yes, I am. I'm the chairman of the Board of Elections. I resent the comments that I just heard. Political contributions. I did read something in the paper over a period of the last 20 years. I'm the chairman of the Republican Party. We don't look at political contributions. We have a finance committee that does that. In no way would that ever enter into a decision. The Board of Elections was asked to provide an advisory opinion to the commissioners on which voting machines to purchase. It's not true that all the staff wanted ES&S machines. Senior staff there did not. We welcome comments, however, from everybody that works for the election board. And there were a lot of attributes that were measured in these machines, and some of those points the gentleman is correct about. But the reason that we're buying new machines is that we don't have an audit trail now. I'm just an old-fashioned auditor, a retired auditor with about 40 years' experience. I can tell you that the Dominion machines have a better audit trail. There is an extra step. There is a bit of an inconvenience for the voter, but the voter gets to take a paper ballot that he imprinted and walk it over to storage, and it goes in a bin and it gets recorded. ES&S's audit trail, there's not a chain of evidence that's complete. There's a magnetic tape, there's a barcode. Any of us that try to go through ShopRite's exit there, on the barcodes aren't always reliable, right? So I don't like that. What we've learned here, I think, is technology isn't always the answer here. Sometimes you go back to a manual process. I think Dominion has solved that. It's a much better audit trail. That's the attribute that we should be measuring, because that's what the legal mandate is that requires us to be buying these voting machines. So the vote was not for ES&S. The vote was 2-2, okay? It was an advisory opinion. It was an advisory vote to be provided to the commissioners. The other consideration is the ES&S machines are about 20% more expensive. Right now, they would cost taxpayers about $120,000 more for 125 machines that are the first batch. Usually, after the first batch performs well, the rest of the fleet will probably be purchased for those same machines, right? The difference then would be well over $1 million. We have about 800 voting machines. So my recommendation as your chairman is Dominion, and I think the decision that you're considering today. I think they have a fine audit trail, and that's what's most important. Voters deserve to know that there's integrity in the process, and in Dominion's case, there's actually a bin, and it will require a little bit more storage, because those ballots we're going to need to store. But you're going to be able to look at a piece of paper with a voter ID number that tells you how they voted, and that to me is very important. So unless there are any questions, I just wanted to make those points.
If I can just make a point with you.
Yes.
Frank, if you don't mind. Every single purchase that we make in this county goes through a competitive process, as did this. I'm glad you brought out the difference in the price. I will tell you what that competitive process does not consider, and that is any political contributions to any party anywhere. We never looked at that. I can tell you that Jenny Haynes didn't look at that, Jack Kelly didn't look at it, Gary Quinn, Joe McCary, Jerry Little. We never looked to see if there were, in fact, until the gentleman brought it up last week, I didn't know they were making campaign contributions. They're not going to be punished for campaign contributions, but they're not going to be rewarded for campaign contributions either. We have a process. We have 3 people that evaluate that, none of them being as members of these commissions. And as you know, the Board of Elections had different opinions on which one to buy. The county clerk, who's the other half of this process, also thought we should buy these machines. At the end of the day, what was most important to myself as the finance chair for Ocean County was the price. First, to make sure they work, they do, and then the price. That's how the decision was made, not, sir, on any kind of political contributions. So those comments that were made before were the opinion of the gentleman. They were not the opinion of this board. They were not the opinion of the election board. They were not the opinion of the county clerk. And I thank you for coming today, because you don't have to do that, but you did.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your comments. Thank you very much.
And I also want to thank Director Quinn and Commissioner Haynes. Commissioner Haynes oversees our election board. You guys have been more to demonstrations. You've been to more of them the last year. And I think we've been real diligent about it. So unless there are any other questions, good to see you, Commissioner Little.
Commissioner Haynes wants to speak.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Director. I just want to say, yes, I was at every demonstration. The first one I went to was December of 2019, and then we went to two this year. We went to one in Princeton and one that was next door in the election board in what used to be called the cafeteria. And I did see the demonstration. At all three times that I saw the demonstrations, I did prefer the dimming machine, but it wasn't just up to me, it was up to the other commissioners that had to vote, as well as when the bids came in, and that's what, I am appalled to think that you would insinuate that any member of this Board of Freeholders would vote for anything based on a contribution. I have no clue, as a candidate, whether I was in the legislature, a candidate for township committee and served on the committee, or on this freeholder board, who has donated. I do not see those lists, nor does any member of this Board of Commissioners, not one of us. And I'm appalled that you would suggest that any of us would do something that is illegal. I am offended by that, because I have done my job and I have worked diligently and very hard as an elected official in the County of Ocean in all of my positions to make sure that whatever I do it to represent the people correctly and honestly. And every single one of these members up here do the exact same thing. I have been to the demonstrations. I agree with what Commissioner Kelly says, and to have that these machines are going to be cheaper. And guess what? The state is paying for these machines presently, not the County of Ocean. We have to bond for them, and then we'll be reimbursed. And of course, the machines that we have to purchase down the road, yes, we will be paying for them. But it's because we feel that, and the committee that looked at everything, is the better machine. That is what it was based on, nothing to do with political machines, political contributions. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the Election Board, for coming here.
You're welcome.
And just piggybacking on what Commissioner Haynes said, you know, it's really being made very political with the statements that you're putting forth to us. You know, I couldn't tell you who donates to campaigns. I couldn't tell you how much people donate to campaigns, because we've always, all five of us have always made a practice out of the fact that we don't participate, we don't organize. The money, a lot of times, if people are making a donation to a campaign, might come into the Ocean County GOP Finance Committee. They make a donation to the campaign itself. There's a million different ways that things get done. But at the end of the day, it's all within the confines of the pay-to-play law, and we get audited on an annual basis. We have to submit our forms, you know, as many times we do between the primary and the general election. And I think Ginny's right, that's very insulting for somebody to come before us and make those accusations. And you know, this all started with a story that was out there on social media, and it's just kind of grown and grown and grown. And I think it's gotten out of hand. You know, Ginny talked about demonstrations. I also attended demonstrations for these machines over the course of the last year. And I have to tell you, when I went to the demonstrations, I was looking at it from the standpoint that if I'm not a commissioner, but I'm just an everyday voter, what's going to be the easiest thing for me to take and go in and cast my vote and feel that my vote is a secure vote, that's going to be protected, and there's not going to be any kind of problems. The SS&S machine, there's no doubt about it. The technology, the barcode, there's a lot more ways to be able to hack into those machines than there is with the machines that we're looking at purchasing if this vote goes through. I truly believe that we're going backwards in time, because Governor Murphy has ordered that we do this based on the fact that he wants to have the paper ballots back in place. But we accept that. The governor made a decision, and we accept that as a Board of Commissioners, and we're going to do what he asks as far as the overall voting population here in Ocean County. I do believe that there is, you know, justification for it, and I truly believe that having that paper ballot in storage, even though we're going to be having to go out and probably rent a lot of warehouse space to be able to store these things for X amount of years, I think that's a good thing, because if there's any questions, like there has been around the country in the last election, we have the ability to produce the documents. It's in black and white, and we can take and give it to the auditors, and I feel secure that Ocean County races are going to continue to be safe and not fraudulent like they are throughout other parts of the country. So I think it's a good thing that we're doing that, but at the end of the day, I think the only thing that you know, we probably all agree on, yourself as well as us, would be that if we want to make these elections as fair as possible, we have to take and try and get it to the point where voter ID is required, and every person that walks in and wants to cast a vote, produce an ID showing that you're a person that's permitted to vote and cast your ballot. But you know, I respect you coming to us, sir, but at the end of the day, I don't agree with you, and I think that those things being thrown out is making it political, which it doesn't have to be. But.
Can I?
Yeah, if Frank's done, I'll
Yeah,
let you
yeah.
back up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, I don't want
Yeah.
to, I mean, if I were sitting on the board of commissioners, I would want to know everything about who contributes money to my, you know, to my campaigns. I mean, you know, if you receive money from an agent for an election machine company, that to me is a big red flag. I'd say, hey, wait a minute, if I'm going to be making decisions on election equipment, you know, I got to be as unbiased on this as possible. And I think accepting that kind of money really creates a conflict of interest. So I respectfully disagree. And you can't ignore the statements made by the professional staff. Maybe the cost may be a little higher, Mr. Kelly, but you don't sacrifice quality over cost.
Well, that never matters, never matters.
But in this case, the staff, the professional staff was very clear on the qualitative aspects of these machines, and they made an argument to that effect. So you can't ignore that.
We appreciate your comments.
This is all about good government. You know what I'm talking about. It's about good government and having integrity, you know, in our elections and having the right equipment. And again, I thank you for your
We
time.
appreciate your comments. With regards to staff, the chairman of the Board of Elections made it very clear that the upper level staff was not in favor of the same opinion of the lower level staff, so there's different opinions on that issue itself. And with regards to, again, going back to campaign contributions, whether it be, I understand you're running for freehold or commissioner this year yourself, whether it be a donation that, you know, comes in from A, B, or C, we're better off not knowing it, because then it puts us into a situation that you're talking about right now. We don't know who donates the money, we don't want to know who donates the money. We get out there, we campaign, we try and run our records, and if the people are happy with the job that we've done in Ocean County, we'll get reelected. If not, we will move on to the next chapter in our lives. But I appreciate you coming and I appreciate your comments, but at this point in time, I'm going to ask for a motion from the board on the ordinances. Oh, I'm sorry, is there anybody else in the public that would like to say? Seeing none, I'll close the floor and I will ask for a motion.
I move the ordinance.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Mr. Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Terrace?
Yes, comments at the end of the vote, please.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
And Director Quinn.
Yes. Rinaldo?
Yes, I'd just like to make a comment also. I read some of the articles that were written, especially one today, and I was a little reluctant at this time what to do with it. And then I went to the professional staff, I read the minutes, I heard the chairman speak, and I went to Freeholder Haynes' office, and I not only questioned, but I re-questioned everything that was said. And I believe we're voting on one thing today, our reputation of doing the right thing. And you know, today, elections are questioned more so in the United States now than ever before in history, as you know. But I want to do one thing. I want to thank Dr. Phil for you coming today, because you raised some important questions. And we respect, and I think you're going to believe this, what minority people say of a difference of opinion. I appreciate when you challenge what we have said today. And that's what makes America the greatest country in the world. Because in a democracy, we should encourage more people to come. More people to come to these rooms, into this room, and question everything that we do. So again, I didn't make my decision on voting for this, and you can ask any member of the board, because I went intensely to question every single step of this until about 3 o'clock, quarter to 3. And after I decided I was going to vote yes, I went to every freeholder, and I went and I told them the reason why I was going to vote on this. And why? Because we want to do the right thing, just as you do, and I respect what you said. Our reputation's at stake, but something else just as important, the integrity of your vote and everyone's vote. In America, everyone's vote is very, very important. And after what happened in the last election, we have to make sure that not only is it transparent, but people are part of that. And that's why we need more and more people that disagree with what we're doing, so then we can test, for myself, speaking for myself, that we're doing the right thing. So again, I want to thank you for coming. I hope and wish that you come to other meetings, even after the election. But the people of Ocean County have to realize that the 5 members here, the 5 commissioners, are acting in the best interest of the people of Ocean County. And I thank you for that,
Thank you.
Dr. Phil.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Little?
No additional comment.
Okay, thank you, folks. Moving on, resolution item number G, Mac.
Yes, we have 3 recommendations for public hearings for natural land. The first one is accepting the recommendation of the Natural Land Trust Fund Advisory Committee to accept a donation of property identified as Block 837, Lot 8.03, part of Old Lot 8. Township of Berkeley, totaling approximately 40 acres, located off of Route 9 at Lake City Boulevard, adjacent to the existing Natural Lands Trust Fund property.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Director. As was stated, this is where it is in Berkeley Township off of Route 9 and Lemon City Boulevard. The contract buyer is offering to donate approximately 40 acres of the southern portion of the Lot 8 after subdivision. A 25-foot wide access easement will also be granted. The property is located behind Blackbeard's Cave Amusement Center, is immediately adjacent to the 745-acre Natural Land Trust Fund property known as the New Jersey Pulverizing. Acquisition of the property will provide access off of Route 9, enhancing New Jersey Pulverizing as a passive recreation destination for residents in North Berkeley Township and Beechwood Borough. Just so that people may not know, 60% of Ocean County is preserved. A lot of people may not realize that, but it is, and that includes your federal, state, county, and some municipal land. That is a tremendous amount of land. Ocean County alone has probably saved about over 33, almost 34,000 acres of land that has been preserved just from Ocean County alone. And this is one that happens to be a donation. We do get many pieces of property through the years that are donated. This one happens to be it. We're very lucky to have this. Thank you.
Okay, in the public hearing, we'll now open the floor to public comments. If anyone would like to come up and speak on this application, please raise your hand. Seeing none, I will close the floor to public comment. And I would ask for motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Resolution.
Resolution.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vicari?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
And Director Quinn.
Yes. Jim?
The next item is accepting the recommendation of the Natural Lands Trust Fund Advisory Committee to acquire property identified as Block 4321, Lots 5 and 6, Block 4316, Lot 1, in the Township of Lacey, totaling approximately 2.92 acres, located on Price and Bergen and Kearns Avenue, their paper streets, in an amount not to exceed $9,000 plus up to $50 for property tax adjustments.
Thank you. The property, as was stated, is adjacent to over 1,200 acres of existing Natural Lands Trust Fund open space in Lacey and Manchester Townships, known as the Roosevelt City project area. Acquisition of the property will further support a wildlife mitigation in the area, enable the county to vacate streets and consolidate salties. This particular area we've been very concerned with possible fires. And that's why we are buying up a lot of the lots that are around in Roosevelt City so that we don't have something happen like happened in California many years ago with the fires that they had. The property owner accepted a negotiated offer of $9,000.
Okay, once again, being a public hearing, I'll now open the floor to public comment. If anyone would like to speak, please raise your hand. Seeing none, I will close the floor and ask for
Move
a
resolution.
Second.
roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vicari?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
And Director Quinn.
Yes.
Next, accepting the recommendation of the Natural Lands Trust Fund Advisory Committee to acquire property identified as Block 869.33, Lot 32, Block 870, Block 45, in the Township of Brick, totaling approximately 9.33 acres, located on Princeton Avenue, in an amount not to exceed $600,000 plus up to $3,000 for property tax adjustments.
Commissioner Haynes?
Okay, thank you. This is property that we've been working on for a number of years to acquire. If anyone's fully aware of where Windward Beach is on Princeton Avenue, it is sort of across the street. Mr. Agliata, Director of Planning, will point that out to you. It is all wooded. There is no other preserved land around it. It is all residential, but it'll be like sort of passive. There'll be trails and things that they'll be able to walk through. So it's another great piece of property. It is on approximately 9.337 acres. As I stated, it is on Princeton Avenue in Brick Township. It's adjacent to Woodward Park. The property owner accepted a negotiated offer $1.25 $250,000, $1,250,000. The county our share is going to not to exceed $600,000. The Township of Brick is going to be supporting $400,000, and the TPL will provide $250,000 by partnership with the New Jersey DEP Green Acres. And plus, Brick Township will be maintaining the property, so that's another plus to make sure that the property will always be cleaned up in case, as we all know, many people go along the roadways or wherever and they do dump their garbage. So thank goodness that Brick Township will be, jumping in to help maintain the property, make sure it's kept clean. And the acquisition is being spearheaded by the Trust for Public Land, and the township has agreed, as I said, to maintain the property consistent with the Natural Lands Trust Fund Program rules. Thank you.
Okay, being a public hearing, I'll now open the floor to public comment. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand. Seeing none, I will close the floor.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaccaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
And Director Quinn.
Yes, thank you, John.
Moving on, we're authorizing the payment of bills and bill committee report number 16.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes, with the exceptions as noted on the bill summary report.
Commissioner Vaccaro?
Yes, with the exceptions noted on the bill summary report.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes, with the exceptions noted on the bill summary report.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes, with the exceptions noted on the bill summary report.
And Director Quinn.
Yes, with the exception noted on the summary report.
We'll note all of those exceptions. Authorizing the engineering payments to contractors. There's 5 of them, I-1 through I-5.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaccaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Director Quinn.
Yes.
Under resolutions today, we have J1 through J6.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaccaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
And Director Quinn.
Yes.
Under motions today, we have K1 through K9. I'd like to note K2, all the members were present. K3, Commissioner Kelly and Commissioner Vaccaro were absent. And K4, Commissioner Vaccaro was absent.
Offer the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaccaro?
Yes, with the 2 exceptions of K3 and K4, yes on all levels.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
With the exception of K3, aye all others.
And Director Quinn.
Yes.
And we'll note those exceptions. Under traffic safety improvements, we have L1 through L5.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaccaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
And Director Quinn.
Yes.
We have bid awards today. M1 through M6 are awarding, and M7 is rescinding the contract.
So moved.
Bid award.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaccaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
And Director Quinn.
Yes.
Contracts today, we have N1 through N12.
Offer the contract.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaccaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
And Director Quinn.
Yes.
We have one appointment and reappointment today, and it is for the O1.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Little?
Yes.
Commissioner Vaccaro?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
And Director Quinn.
Yes.
The remaining items are received items that include resolutions for governing bodies, minutes and meeting notices, reports, and correspondence. All of these items were received in the clerk of the board's office, so that's regular meeting of the board.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, moving on, item number U, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Little?
Thank you, Mr. Director, and briefly, we will entertain today's weekly report on the COVID pandemic here in Ocean County. Overnight, we have 118 new confirmed cases. Our total now is 69,563, and sadly, 2,036 deaths, and that is an increase of 1 overnight. Toms River, yesterday, overnight, has the highest account with 11,498, and that's an increase of 32 cases. Lakewood, increase of 19, and Brick, an increase of 17. Long-term care facilities, we have 9 who have at least one active case, 5,222 cases in our nursing homes, and 711 deaths. That's a sad, sad number. That's 35% of the overall deaths in the county have been in nursing homes. Very sad. Vaccinations, yesterday, as we have discussed previously, the demand for vaccinations is increasing a little bit, but is certainly nowhere where it was the high demand that we had earlier this spring and, of course, over the winter, last winter. Yesterday at Six Flags, we did 33 vaccinations, and at Ocean County College, 32. Our total vaccinations by our health department now are at 111,564, and a total of 279,000 people in the county are fully vaccinated. 279,000, or 55% of the eligible people in Ocean County, i.e. 12 years or older, have been vaccinated. We are continuing to see an interest in the young people getting vaccinations now, which is a good thing at our various clinics. We are also, everyone probably has seen, or all of you have probably seen that those folks who have immune compromises can now get a third shot. That is available at our health department. And there are news reports, public information is out there that the CDC has approved a third shot. Some people call it a booster shot, but a third shot for Moderna and Pfizer beginning at the end of September. So our health department is planning on accommodating that. We're working on different plans for different clinics and so forth, but all of that is underway. And we appreciate Brian Rumpus here today, and we appreciate his efforts. Dan is taking a well-deserved week off after 2 years of hectic planning and managing of our COVID response. And a very striking thing, which I bring up often, but I haven't for several weeks, senior citizens in Ocean County. You know, we have the most senior citizens. We're very happy about that, and certainly it's the backbone of our county. The percentage of cases, positive cases, for people aged 65 and older